can tell her, you can tell her anything. She's a real good listener. You can tell her anything.
Hey guys, this is Teresa Lee, and you're listening to You Can Tell Me Anything, where I ask people to tell me stuff that they've never told anybody because I love secrets, and so do you. That's why you're listening. Also because therapy is expensive, and not everybody's religious, so sometimes we just have to talk to people. So today with me, I'm very excited about our guest. I have a very funny comedian, writer, director, filmmaker. Please don't put your hands together because there's no audience here, but just clap in your head for very funny Christine Medrano.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I like to start every interview off with a good confession because I know a lot of people think confessions are bad, but not every confession is bad. You don't have to be guilty about every confession. Sometimes there's things in life that you've done that you didn't get credit for, or like a good deed or an achievement you're proud of. And we get shamed for bragging these days. But do you have something good to confess? Something positive?
I was salutatorian of my graduating class in high school.
Whoa, what does salutatorian mean?
It's like there's valedictorian and then there's like salutatorian. It's kind of like the popular vote.
Oh, okay.
But not even, like, I wasn't even like, I don't know, I guess I was just like diplomatic.
Did you have to give a speech?
I had to give a speech. It was me and the valedictorian gave speeches at for our graduation.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really fun. And they tried to shut me down, though. Like, I remember my principal pulled me aside and was like, I don't want any jokes. And if I don't hear something I don't like, you won't get your diploma. Remember, you're not a stand-up comedian, which is so ironic right now, right?
Did you do comedy in high school or did you want to?
I was just like a funny, like, class clown, you know? Like, I was like also head of the drama club. And so, like, I had to make speeches about what play was happening. And one year, it was like Grease. And so I went and did an entire speech about how I was excited for the play Grease, and then gave a bunch of facts about the country Grease. So I don't know, I was up to hijinks all the time.
Did you listen to the principal or did you make jokes in your speech?
I made jokes. They definitely edited a bunch of my jokes. Like, we all were wearing white, and I was like, well, all wearing white, ladies. Who are we trying to fool? And like things like that. I didn't get to go with...
Oh, you went to Catholic school, right?
I went to Catholic school, yeah. So I didn't get to make as many jokes as I would have liked because they hated me in my high school.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel... Because I went to public school... I went to Catholic school for 1 year, but I graduated from public school, and they're very much like... Yeah, be funny. I think the year after me, they had MC Hammer speak.
What? I went to a very small, like, all-girls private school, though.
Like,
all
no
girls
jokes.
private. Yeah, basically.
Woman can't be funny. It's against God.
Probably.
Do you go to therapy, or do you have someone you talk to when you have secrets?
I go to therapy, and it is so... It's one of those things where I only started, like, maybe this summer, and it was just, like, very much needed. And so I literally was on the waiting list for, like, the Southern California Counseling Center, and then, like, they didn't get back to me soon enough, so I was, like, calling around all the other, like, sliding scale therapists.
Another Edgar who was just on was just talking about that organization. I should check it out.
Yeah, they're great for if you're like, you know, need to talk to someone you maybe are on a budget. Also, I'm at the women's clinic. There's just like a shorter waiting period there, and it's cheap. I like my counselor therapist person. She's great. And it's sometimes one of my favorite movies is like 2046.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Wonker Y film, and there's this thing that he mentions in the movie, and I like to think of therapy this way, kind of. It's just kind of like, sometimes it's nice just to like have a hole that you dig and whisper secrets into and then cover up the secret.
I love that.
I feel like that's what therapy is.
King, is it Midas, the one that had the donkey ears? I think it was him. Everyone always thinks of him with gold, but I think he had another story with the donkey ears. And his barber saw the ears and whispers it into the hole, and that's why... the reeds. Wait, I'm confusing myths.
I don't know.
There was some story about his barber whispering the secret into a hole. But I like to think that I like that metaphor a lot. I used to make a joke about missing my ex, just digging a hole and whispering "I miss us" into the ground.
And I've just been like journaling a lot more, and like I have so much, just like sometimes you just like need to get it out, or like I read a lot of like letters to people that I know that I'll never send. It just kind of like things that you just need to like get off your chest and sometimes say that I don't know, it's so vital to like my mental health.
Do you get scared? I get scared when I write names in a journal. I can't bring myself to call it a diary anymore. I feel like since I turned 13, I have to call it a journal, even though it's the same thing. What's the difference? Is there a difference?
I don't think I think it's just no.
Too childish to call it a diary.
I have like a digital one, so it's like
Whoa.
on my iCloud or whatever. So it's like no one can access it, hopefully, unless I die.
Wait, how is it an app?
No, it's just like I just have like a
Just
Google
notes?
Doc.
Oh,
Just like a Google Doc that I've named, so I have to like go to my email, go in the drive, find the name of the specially named file, and it's like, you know. And then I also have like just books. Like I do have like in my bag I have like a book of just like a notebook filled of like letters written to like one person.
Whoa. I had a notebook. I guess I'm just gonna call it a diary. No, I'm not. It's called a journal. But I had a notebook when I first got to college that I bought that had this like I was in love with this guy I chased to New York, and he went to India for a summer and like wouldn't stop talking about it. And so I found this notebook at a Barnes and Noble in Union Square that had an elephant on it that was like vaguely Indian. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is all kind of racist, but I bought the notebook because it reminded me of him and how he went to India, and then I would write in it, but everything was about him, but I never used his name. I always wrote like you or him, and it was always about him.
I mean, I have
because I got scared.
I got this person's name all over this thing, and I figure that like I don't know, whatever. It's not like I'm sure it would be embarrassing if it were found, but it's like whatever. People have like worse things have happened in the history of man than like someone being like, oh, a book of. I feel like they'd read one, they'd be like, okay, we get the idea of what this is going to be, and just throw it out. Or
like
something.
You're probably the sane one. I feel like I'm being paranoid, but I've definitely overthought it too much. And also, you're right. I think people are more attracted to mystery. So the fact that I didn't use a name probably would make someone want to uncover
They'd
more.
read more because they'd be like, how do I figure out who this is?
And, and really, when you're looking at a name, you're just trying to be like if I ever found a diary and I saw a name, all I want to know is like, is that person also fucking someone I'm fucking? And so once you're like, no, different person, I'm like, it's fine.
You're like, yeah, that's boring.
Yeah. Do you ever lie in a journal?
I sometimes no, I don't think so. But sometimes I definitely like maybe want to go back and omit things. But I'm like, no, because sometimes you're like, I want to burn this person and destroy that. Like I get very like I try not to. I'm like, if there's one place you can be like open and free, I should be like your journal. I feel like I sometimes lie to my therapist or don't give her the whole scoop. I definitely have just been like, it took me a while to be able to like feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, this is like what's up. For a while, I'd just be like, I'm fine. I still feel like I don't cry enough in therapy.
I don't think you have to cry in therapy. I actively try to not cry. I try to make my therapist cry.
I think I've made my therapist cry, but like she was listening to a story and she like I saw a tear, saw her welling
She'll pull
up.
out mine will pull out tissues and start crying, and then that will make me stop crying because then I'll feel like I have the power. But it's like she's doing it for me. It's like when you hire people at your funeral to cry.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in the beginning I was like yelling more at my therapist, not like about at her, but just like about the situation. I'm just a loud person. But I wish I could cry more. I don't know. I feel like I should cry. I feel like I cry too much on my own and not enough in therapy. If that makes sense, right?
Do you ever write down things that are like positive? I feel like I have a hard time being honest when it's like something I'm excited about because I start hearing myself and it sounds so dumb. Like if I'm like excited, I don't know, for like I had a good day or date or something, I'll start writing like I had a great day. This guy is really cute, and then I'll hear it like as I'm writing it and be like, oh God.
Yeah, I get more embarrassed writing down positive journaling than I do like negative journaling. Isn't that so strange?
I know.
It just kind of like you feel like you're like a child.
Like you're not supposed to have good memories, but really those are the ones that you should remember.
Yeah, I have like, I don't know, it's just interesting that we have that thing where I guess we associate like, oh, well, we're writing because we're like damaged and bruised and we need to, but we're never like, oh, we're happy, let's write this down. I'm trying more. I feel like I do have like, and even like the letters that I've written people, a lot of them are usually like just me being like open and positive and just being like, this is how I feel about you, da-da-da, remember this memory, da-da-da. So those are a lot more positive, but in terms of like my personal journal, last year I started writing a lot more positive things in it, and I think I don't know, but also negative things as well.
Mhm.
Just or like I just tried to be truthful.
That's
I don't
good.
know.
Have you ever sent one of the letters?
Yeah.
Really? Did you write it in mind? Like, did you know you were gonna send it when you wrote it, or was it later? You're like, I'm just gonna send it out.
I'd written it and then I sent it to friends. I'm like, should I send this? And I'm like, yeah, this is a really beautiful letter. And then I gave it to the person, and they were like going to the airport, and then they dropped it in my car, and they're like, oh no, I dropped your letter, and they're like, I'm like, should I mail it to you? And they're like, yeah, mail it to me. And then I was like, I don't know. And then I went back and like rewrote the last page and then like mailed it to them. And then, yeah.
And how did it go? Was it, I mean, you don't have to get personal if you don't want to, but was it like a confession of love or like?
I mean, we'd
was
already
the
like
general
kind of like confessed love to this person, but it was just
reaffirming your love.
Yeah, it was good. I think it was an overall I got some things off of my chest that I needed to. I don't know, sometimes I'm just like so awkward in person, or you can't be as like forthcoming as you would like to in letter form, or even like in texts. This year I've been a lot more open in like text with certain people. And some of it has not been great. Like some of it's I'm a very closed up person where I'm like, I'm just gonna like Teflon, but I realized I'm very not like Teflon. It's like the opposite, where they're just like little serrated like holes and it's sitting in pockets. And so I've been trying to get a lot more things off of my chest because I feel like I like to think of it like there were a bunch of like tiny pile. There was a tiny pile, and I was like, oh, I'll deal with it later. But now there's so many piles that I just don't know what to do. And so I don't know. I feel like being honest with people, even though it's like overwhelming in the moment, will help in the long run, I'm hoping.
I think that's true. Someone recently told me, and I can't remember who told me, but that like when you like really love someone and you're comfortable, it's you're able to let go of how they feel about you, so you're able to get mad. Because I haven't been in a lot of long-term relationships, so everybody I've dated, I've like never gotten to a point where I've like had a full-on blown-out fight. And I think that's a sign of being in love, weirdly, because that's when you're so comfortable that you're able to be like, I just need to tell you this thing upsets me.
Yeah, because it's hard when you're like kind of seeing someone, because it's like you're like, okay, I have a fear of losing them.
Yeah, because you
There's
don't
no
want to seem angry and then have them be like, okay, well, I'm out. But
yeah, just bye forever.
Right.
I mean, I got real angry, got into a fight with someone. Like, I broke 2 wine glasses.
Oh, wow.
I threw them at a wall. Oh, God, it's so embarrassing. And I remember saying to the person after, I was just like, did I ruin myself for you? Like, you know what I mean? Just being like, did I ruin whatever your idea of me? And they were just like, no. But it was definitely like one of those things where it was like, I'm so the kind of person that like, I always think of like Larry David about like how he had that dentist who he didn't like. And he's like, I just got a new dentist then. And they're like, everyone's like, just address the issue. I'm the kind of person who would just be like, I guess I'll just like get a new, you know what I mean? I'm like, let's just throw everything away because it's too uncomfortable to talk about it. And I've really been forcing myself to like talk about things this year. And not just throw everything away. And it's so hard though.
But I mean, after you sent this letter, did this person react? Did you get a good reaction, or did
yeah, it was good. It was good overall. Yeah, it was good. And it was like, well, the wine throwing, very reality TV. That was like months after the letter. But I feel like just, you really have to though feel secure with someone to be able to do something like that though.
Yeah.
Or else it's kind of just like, oh God, I can't, like, it's even thinking about it now, it's just kind of like, oh boy, that's like a big, I don't know, you're putting yourself out there.
I'm getting very cringy hearing this only because I sent a letter in college to somebody I was in love with. Actually, this is the Indian. He wasn't Indian. The guy who went to India. He was Asian, but he I sent a letter to him telling him I was like saving my virginity. Oh, it was so embarrassing. And he didn't respond or acknowledge that he got it. And then I ran into him at a party 2 years later, and he just comes up to me and like puts his hand on my back and was like, I got your letter.
Oh my God. And he's like, I'm ready now.
No, he didn't say that. But it was like, I think he was like, it was circumstantial. And I was like, what does that mean? You're just being a dick. But yeah, so when you told that letter story. But I'm glad other people do that, because I really felt like I was just real dumb for doing that.
Are you a romantic? I think it's because it's like I'm a huge romantic, and so like the person got the letter and they're like, oh my god, I left your letter, I cried, blah 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 blah, whatever.
I think maybe I was just not a good writer. I feel like
You're a good writer.
if you're a good writer and you know how to put your feelings in words, you can win someone over through your words. I think.
I hope so. I don't know, right? I don't know. I think. To do comedy, though, I think you have to have somewhat of a way with words.
Right. This was before I did comedy.
Oh, okay. But even before that, I think the inclination that you wanted to do comedy tells you that you probably had like...
I don't think I was very funny in the letter. I think if I like kept it witty, maybe.
I always sign off like I'll write something that's really, really, really like deep and like or like I'll try to be really honest and open with my feelings, and at the end I'll just be like, also, did you hear or like did you get the ebook I sent or something like or something stupid?
Also, donate to my Kickstarter.
I'll always send off with something that's kind of like lighthearted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To just kind of like
to ease the tension.
And to be like, I'm putting myself on the line. This is awkward, but also like, this is still me. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird being vulnerable. It's like people don't see that a lot, so then it almost feels like you said, it's like not you, and you want to be like, it's still me, but this is like how I really feel.
And being a comic, it's so hard to be earnest. I feel like so much of us hinges on like the hiding behind the uncomfortableness of like we're just joking, and yeah, being earnest, like sometimes like even like I went to the Women's March the other day and I'm like everyone was like so earnestly being inspired and I was just like, oh, it's like this is my everybody, and I was just like people just singing along or like earnestly chanting with other people, and part of me was like cringing, but I don't know. I went to the Women's March last year and it felt so much more like and this time it just felt so like I don't know. I guess I was just like in the mood where I was like, oh boy, oh brother.
Well, I think some of that. I don't want to like make anyone mad, but some of what I have been seeing recently has been like, I'm glad it works and maybe just like everybody copes in a different way, but sometimes it does feel performative. So maybe you're picking up on that a little bit, because I think there were a lot more like social media oriented protests this year, and it's great if it can get the word out. So I'm not knocking that, but I think maybe, I mean, maybe you're picking up on there's probably some people there disingenuously, which is fine for the numbers. I mean, if that works, it works.
Well,
but
don't you like cringe sometimes at people's earnestness? Like
I
sometimes
think I cringe at like
do.
fakeness, and
maybe it's a fakeness. I'm feeling like it's like fake uncomfortable earnest where they think they're putting everything on the line, but I know that they're covering, and so like I'm like, oh, why does this feel gross to me?
Yeah, I'm sure that's. I actually didn't go this year. I went last year and it didn't work. No,
what do you mean? I went to the one. I flew to New York and went to the one in Washington last year.
No, I'm kidding. No, I went last year. I wasn't able to go this year. I would have gone if I could, but I'm glad people are expressing their right to protest. And I'm not actually knocking on it. I think, but I think you could have been picking up on like there may be more people joining in who want to be part of the movement for other reasons, but also that's not a bad thing because, you know, we need people on our side. So
yeah.
But yeah.
But I'm still like, oh boy.
Anyways, wow, I just talked myself out of that. I get very like scared that people are gonna be mad at me for everything I say, even though I feel like nobody cares.
I mean,
like I'm not like I'm not in office or anything. I feel like I have my opinions and everyone does. No, I'll never be in office. I could not handle the pressure.
I thought about running for city council. I've Googled it more than once, and I'm like on the mailing list for like she should run, and I think about it all of the time.
You should do it.
I want to, but it's just kind of like I don't know. I think not right now. Like maybe when I have like more stuff that I've done that I've wanted to do done, then maybe I'll like look into it more. But I would love to. I like love politics ever since I was young.
I wish I wasn't so insecure. I think if I ran and I didn't win, I would take it so personally and be so upset and feel like, well, this is it. Like
I always kind of like without anything, I always kind of just don't expect to win anything. So I always just feel like I'm like the underdog who never makes it to just end up being the loser. So it's like not even the underdog. I'm just the loser.
I mean, I don't expect to win, but I still feel bad when I don't. It's very weird. It's like almost like if I tried harder and expected to win, I might actually have a shot. But
yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. I guess it's like I'm such like in high school I was like the coaster. You know what I mean?
What's I'm like that? Oh, like a door.
No,
What's
just kind of
doorstop?
like
Wait,
you're
what's the pushover?
No.
Doormat. That's the word I was like.
For me, it's just more just kind of like you don't try as hard, but you're like, well, if I really tried, I could have gotten an A if I wanted, but I didn't really try and I got a B, so that's fine.
But
So-
you're salutatorian. You were popular.
But that has nothing to do with intelligence grades, but neither does like grades. You know what I mean?
That's true.
You don't, and especially with high school, it's just like so many like assignments that are based on nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I've never talked about that California Gold Rush since I learned about it in school.
Yeah, like
Until now, just now. I guess I cheer for the 49ers and that's sort of related, but
what are the I don't know enough about American history because I'm Canadian. And I also like I just have a very deep running insecurity that I'm like the most inarticulate person that I know. And like you know what I mean? Like I'm the dumb person at the table all the time. That's how I always feel. And so it's just like I don't know, I guess maybe that's part of like me being like I'll try, but I don't expect anything from anything.
right. Yeah, I feel like that's a common thing with comedians is just like it's very self-deprecating, but at the same time also wanting to be the best. It's like this weird thing you struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of which, is there anything you'd like to tell me?
I have like this is like a very random story, but it's like, do you ever have those things that are like moments that like when they flash through, like if you could go back and change one moment in your life, you'd like do this one thing and maybe like the trajectory of my life would have been completely different if I had like not choked in this weird moment when I was a child.
Uh-huh.
So like when I was like 13 years old, I was like when I was young, I was really big into this theater company. I used to take classes and even had like a scholarship there. It was called the Manitoba Theater for Young People. And I was also like obsessed with Shakespeare.
I love Shakespeare.
And so I used to just like, I was like a weird kid and I would just like read so much Shakespeare and memorize monologues and go to the plays and watch the movies.
What's your favorite Shakespeare play?
Macbeth.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
What?
No, I don't know.
Or probably also like
no, that's a
Romeo
good one.
and Juliet.
I don't hear that a lot as a favorite.
And so I had like they were having auditions for the professional company. And if you got this, you got to be like a professional theatrical actor. You know, you got to be part of the theater and like, you know what I mean? Like what you see in the movies. I'm like, that is the coolest thing in the entire world. And they would have these auditions a year. And so I was auditioning and I was like, I'm going to prepare a monologue from Macbeth. I did like the witches and I memorized it and I'd memorized it day in, day out. And they don't tell you what you're auditioning for, right? You just kind of go in blind with a monologue and all the kids do. And so it was the day of the audition that I had and they brought us in 3 at a time. And there was a girl and a guy and then me. And I was like, okay, I'll go last.
Uh-huh.
And the 2 people went up first and they did like very like kid monologues. Like, I don't know, Joey, maybe we should go here. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to look like a fucking loser doing like a Shakespearean monologue. And so the 2 kids go and then they got to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, they're like, okay, do you have a monologue? And I was like, no, I don't. I forgot mine.
Oh no.
And they're like, you don't have anything? You don't have anything you want to do? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay. And I was totally like, I knew my monologue in and out.
Yeah.
I literally memorized it before I even knew that there were auditions. And then I found out what play it was at the very end, and it was A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh man.
And so, like, what other child person would have prepared Shakespeare? So I think about that all of the time.
Did they ever do like another audition?
I never signed up for another audition after that for the theater. For that, like I think that was my last year at the
You're too
Manitoba Theater.
burned by that one experience?
By just kind of like me choking. I still think about that all of the time about like why I'm just like it was like such like a moment where I'm like just go for it. I don't know.
You were overwhelmed by the possibility of success. That's what somebody told me once of like
I was
when people back out of
self-sabotaging.
things. Because it's so scary in that moment of like a thing you want that you could get that you're like, why don't I just get rid of this possibility altogether and then it won't even hurt me when I don't get it.
It's all I wanted, dude. It's all I fucking wanted.
Why didn't you audition the next year?
I don't know. I got a lead in the school play, so maybe that was like, that's enough. Because we had an amazing, in grade 8, we had an amazing drama teacher, and he would like shut down the school for like 2 weeks while we like were putting the school.
Oh,
like he was
wow.
really, really into like Broadway, and we had like a professional choreographer who was our gym teacher, and she would choreograph, and it was just like these middle school plays were like known throughout our city because he would go like above and beyond, and other schools would come to watch that school play, cool. And I had a lead in that.
What was the play you guys did?
We did The Wiz.
Oh, that's a great
was
one.
The Evil Witch.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and then I remember like I cried because I didn't want to sing, and he's like, "You're not a singer, you're an actor. That's why I cast." And I was just like, "Oh, whatever." He's also the teacher who told me that I should be a stand-up comic.
Oh.
And they like sat. I think that sat in the back of my brain for
That's
many
great.
years. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things where like, don't you have moments like that where you just like you choked in this one moment and it kind of like will haunt you for the rest of your life. Even if I probably like would have auditioned and like maybe I wouldn't have gotten it either too. That's another possibility. You know what I mean? But I'm like I feel like another quote that I remember reading like after that was like the saddest words of tongue or pen or it could have been. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where I'm like, I wish I had just tried and seen.
But well, I guess it sounds like you had a good theater career after that in high school and continued on to be a performer. What, in this alternate universe where you didn't choke up and got the lead and you were like, you know, Helena and Midsummer's Night Dream, what is your life? Like what
I would have been like a
life?
professional actor. I mean, like I'm doing fine now, I guess, like whatever, but like I would have become like a member of like Canadian theater, like Equity, and then, you know, gone on to do like Canadian television and maybe moved to Toronto when I was 18 or whatever. I mean, it would have been too far. I would have just been like, I would have made more money or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in.
Or I would never probably done like
Shakespearean theaters where all the big bucks are at, not Hollywood, LA, where you currently live.
Well, I would have never maybe even done stand up. Like one of my first auditions in LA was for Avatar.
Whoa.
Was for Michelle Rodriguez's role. And obviously like that was before I started stand up, and if I got that role I would have never done stand-up.
Did you do a Macbeth monologue for that audition?
No. They had me sign like a non-disclosure waiver, which I feel like is null now that the movie's out, so I don't care. But it was just like, I kept pronouncing this one word wrong. It was like spec ops, and I kept saying sec ops. And they're like, it's spec ops. Can I try it again? And I'd be like, spec ops! And it was like, it's supposed to be like, pretend I was like driving a ship or something. I don't remember. It was like so dumb. And I remember going to that audition, and it was like all these beautiful, like tall, statuesque, light-skinned black women, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Because I didn't, like, obviously now I know why.
Because you were doing stand-up already at the time?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I've gotten called in. I mean, I didn't have a big acting background when I first moved to LA, and I mean, I guess I still don't have a big acting background. But you know, as a stand-up, you get called in for auditions. Sometimes big things like that, and I would always be like, what? Why am I here? And usually they have like a stand-up. Like I auditioned for some like Warner Brothers superhero film that they gave me dummy size on. So I don't know what it was, but I think it had to do with the Justice League because I wore something that was Batman related, and they're like, oh, that's very appropriate. And then they wouldn't tell me what it was. But yeah, I didn't get it, obviously. But I remember being like, why am I here? Like, there's no way.
It's so funny, some of the things that you audition for, and then you see who they went with.
Yeah.
I auditioned for a certain television show. Let's call it Lashing.
And they went with P. Holmes?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, they went with P. Holmes. No, but yeah, for the second season, I'm like, oh, okay. But I didn't think I had a pretty bad audition. I was not happy with my audition, so it's fine.
Well, it's always good to go. I've started doing this thing where I go in and just try to be as my thing as I can, even if I know I'm not going to get the role, because then I'm like, hopefully that casting director will be like, oh, I get what her thing is, and then when a role gets written that I fit perfectly, they'll remember me. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And I also think it's like a weird thing maybe this is just like me being like dated or whatever, but like being like a woman of color or whatever, I definitely go out for like a certain type more so than others, and I'm like, I'm not going to get this because it's just like there's other girls who are like my type who are just this person and I'm not, you know what I mean? Who I'm not like the feisty whatever.
But you never know. I feel like being a stand-up, you have an advantage because they might think they want a type, but that's only because they're not being creative at the time, and then if they see you bring to life a better character, they're probably more likely to go with that.
That's true. I've seen that happen to my friend. We were in audition together, and she was like, I can beatbox. And then she beatboxed, and they rewrote a commercial to put her in.
That's awesome.
I was just like, damn.
I think Chris Colfer's, I think I read that on his character on Glee was like that. Like,
oh, really?
The character wasn't written gay, and he like did his version of it, and they're like, well, this is what the character is. This makes sense.
This makes sense. I mean, I had an audition for like it was like a pilot I did where it was just kind of like they literally had all the people they wanted to audition send in tapes of like who your character, you're like pitching what your character is, and then they're writing a script around the people who they chose and pitched. And like it was interesting just because it was like I shot the pilot and they did write a script surrounding the character that I had pitched and like the tapes that I sent in, but it was just like their version of like what I had sent in was so different. It was just interesting seeing someone else's interpretation of like what I had sent in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's almost like they don't want to write it, and they're just like, oh, here's
kind
a bunch of actors
basically.
that also write. They should just write it.
Yeah, I mean, it was all stand-ups, so I'm like, oh, great.
Sounds like everything you did after that moment still kind of led you to a thing you wanted. Or I mean, I guess it's hard to be like, oh, what if I got that thing? So this was like is it a big theater company?
It's like you would have been part of the professional theater company. I mean, you would have been like, you'd get like a tutor, and
they're mostly all high school students, or adults?
No, you're not even like I would have been like. You would have been like the child in the you know when you're watching, you ever go to see a play and they're like, there's a child there. Who gets to be that lucky kid? Like I would have been that kid. And then I don't know. And then Canadian acting scene is so small.
You would have soared to the top.
I would have like infiltrated at a young age.
So you said you were involved with that company before.
Well, I was involved with the theater school through that company.
And then did someone get the child part? And were you like, I didn't
even look. I was so heartbroken.
You cold turkey dropped the whole theater company.
I mean, I think I did like one or two things after that, and then after that, I was like so burned by the experience. And then also I started doing music. Then I joined, like I started learning to play guitar, and then started a band, started recording music.
Everything you're saying sounds like positive things came out of not getting this role. You were like, I learned a new skill. I auditioned for a major Oscar award-winning movie. If only I hadn't choked up.
I still think about it though. I don't know. Don't you have moments like it may not seem like big. Like I guess maybe it's easy to look back retrospect, but I don't know.
There are the one I can't really think of. I try to let go of stuff. There's a ton, I'm sure, but the one I think of in high school that wasn't like an audition, but I was always like, I should have gotten that, was I should have been cheer captain, and we switched directors my senior year, and then like a new girl came in who was popular but not a cheerleader. Like she was an athlete. She was pretty. She was like blonde. She looked like a cheerleader. And she's best friends with the other girl who should have been, there was co-captains. So it should have been me and this other girl. Everyone knew it because I was the best cheerleader. It was fine. Like I could say that now, but like skill-wise, because, I came from dance, and at camp, like I always got all the medals and stuff, but not medals, whatever. They give out ribbons. Yeah. But this other girl was best friends with it already, and she looked like a cheerleader. And then the new coach didn't like me because the new coach was bad, and so I gave her a lot of shit because she wasn't a cheerleader.
Oh damn!
And she didn't know how to coach, so I would correct her all the time.
Oh my god!
And I was a huge nerd and a cheerleader, and so I didn't get it. And then they
you were actually in cheerleading. Well, actually,
well, she just like bad. She's bad. Like we'd do stunts, and she'd be like, all right, you guys have to do this. I'd be like, no, that's dangerous. We can't do it this way. And it's like, Anyways, I didn't get it. And I was heartbroken because that summer, like everyone sort of knew the vote was coming. And I organized like a car wash, and I raised money for our team. God. And it was so successful and all this stuff. And then as soon as I did it, my the other girl who should have been the other captain, she was like, me and Haley are going to throw a big party, a sleepover party. And so they won the girls over because Haley had a huge house with a vineyard in the back. They're all fine now. I'm sure they're all successful and happy. Like, I don't hate them now, but fun party it was. But it had nothing to do with cheer. It didn't raise any money for the team. I raised money for the team. And so they both got captains, and I didn't. So. And then I didn't get most spirited either for our high school superlatives, and I just wanted that so bad.
I got I was runner-up for Miss Congeniality. Fucking Laura Fox.
They have that in high school? Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, in my high school, we didn't get like superlatives, I guess, because it was like weird Catholic. I don't know. We didn't have superlatives, but we did have like other weird things. So I got runner up. I feel like, I don't know. And then whatever, it's fine.
It's weird how people still care about that, even
It's
though I'm
so
like, it
dumb.
didn't matter.
Doesn't mean
but
anything.
it does, because so many comedians I know were like class clowns in high school, and they're all like, yeah, of course I was. I'm like, I didn't get anything, and I feel like that's worse than getting like weirdest kid. I would have rather gotten one of the bad ones than nothing.
Oh, you got nothing?
I got nothing. I was in student
We didn't have
government, so I was like
anything.
around and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But I think the only one I wanted was Most Spirited, and it went to Becca, and she
Fucking
campaigned for it.
Becca.
It should have been me. I was for sure the Most Spirited. Anyways, really, that's the alternate life I see, because she then went from captain to spirit commissioner, which is what I wanted.
If you got head cheerleader, do you think your life would be completely different?
I think
now?
I would not have done stand up. I think I would have. I think I would have gotten spirit
Like an
commissioner.
advertising job or something.
It was the thing I wanted so bad. Like all through high school, I was like, I want to be spirit commissioner. I want to be spirit commissioner. And I was like, I'm gonna do cheer. I'm gonna be the cheer captain and get that. And then I didn't get that, so then I was treasurer, which is whatever, Asians racist. But then I got that with no contest. And then I didn't get Most Spirited. But I think if I gotten all those three things, I would have gone to probably not NYU. I'd probably gone to like a state school or somewhere where I could be cheerleader and partied and married young and had some kids, taken some cool Instagram pictures, and just be happy. I just feel like it's a different life.
I don't know. There's so many things like that though. Like when I was young, I used to be on a breakdancing team. When I was like, when like when I was like in like probably like grade 1 or 2, and I was like, they used to have, it was like me, there were like 3 girls who were like the young girls who were part of this. We'd perform at weddings and stuff. Very Filipino, right? They
Wait,
used to have a chalk
breakdance. How old were you?
I was like in grade 1 or 2. How old are you?
Breakdancing
Yeah. We used to
first grade?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so I remember they used to have like a chalkboard and they put how many mistakes each kid made, and I always would get the most amount. And so I was so discouraged by that I like didn't even want to like dance normally for years. And it put like, I was kind of like, I'm a bad dancer. I told myself that for so many years, and I wish I had like had the inner strength or whatever to just be like, no, I'm gonna keep dancing until I get good. And I would have been like a fucking amazing breakdance. Not like maybe not, probably
I feel like
not.
just
but
breakdancing at all makes you a good dancer.
I mean,
like-
I was so young. It was like one of those things where it was like all the teenagers who were breakdancing. Then it was like me and like some younger siblings of breakdancers who would like go and practice and watch them. And I used to spend so much time.
But did you do like tricks?
Yeah, I could do the crab and I could do windmill and I could do.
You could do windmill?
One windmill.
That's awesome.
And then just like kind of like slapjacks and like just basic stuff. But if I had like kept at it, I would have been amazing.
It's almost like earlier experiences in your life that discouraged you from pursuing things you liked may have affected later parts of your life.
Well, that's why I
from
feel
pursuing
so.
things you wanted.
That's why I feel so like I guess what's the word? I'm like not insignificant. What am I looking for? I can't think of the word now. But like I just feel like I don't feel like I'd never feel like I'm good enough because of like all of these weird things that added up.
Insufficient.
Insufficient. I feel so insufficient now as an adult because of all these stupid things that happened to me as a child, where people were just like, "You're not good enough. You're gonna fuck up." Da 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 da.
Were your parents really hard on you?
No, my mom was great. Like I thought I could be a professional basketball player till I was like 13 years old. You know what I mean? My parents were very supportive. My mom was like, even though we were like didn't have money to go for theater school, my mom like found money and like picked up extra shifts and like she'd come and like drop me off. That it was like they were so supportive of me. But it was just kind of like I guess I was just like I was like a weird kid. No one really like I feel like I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and so like anytime there was like a setback, I'd be like, okay, I guess I won't do that.
But it sounds like it's not really your fault. It sounds like early on people were pointing out mistakes when you were
like
too young
jerks.
to need to hear that. Like that age, it's just about cultivating a passion for something.
Yeah, I feel like if I knew what grit was back then, but you're like I was like
They didn't give you a chance to love the thing you were doing.
Yeah,
they
I
just
feel like
made you hate it because they were telling you how bad you were at it, which is nobody starts good at anything.
Yeah, I was a little kid and they should have just been like, you'll get better, you'll improve, just practice more, rather than being like, look how many mistakes you made. Like it was a chalkboard of just like,
wow.
I don't know. I was so discouraged.
Sounds like you had some bad teachers.
Those were they were like older kids who were like teaching us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't
So
necessarily-
they should have been told that all their mistakes in teaching.
Yeah, but I guess like that works for some people, like the tough love. I feel like I don't know. I always like to go the route of like compassion and just kind of like patience rather than like tough love and like militariness of like 20 more or whatever.
Some tough love is okay as long as you have a way out. I think you have to feel hopeful that you can get better.
Yeah.
And you can't be just told you're bad at something because that
it just like tells
doesn't
them
help.
to work harder. It's just like if you don't feel like that your actions are changeable towards your attitude or skill set,
Right.
you're just going to give up. And I feel like there's a certain verbiage that you have to put and use maybe for kids that make it feel like behavior matters versus like you're just bad or you're dumb or whatever. That makes you feel like you have control or power over something rather than, you know what I mean? Like if someone had told me like instead of like you're a bad dancer, like you just need to practice more.
Yeah, if someone's
That's
like,
so
"Oh, you
different.
need to work on your control or your timing," then you'd be like, "Oh, maybe I'll like listen to drums or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get better at timing or something."
Exactly. I don't know. All tiny things that were like all the things we have to fix now as adults that like I don't know.
What made you do stand up then? Because I feel like if you're afraid of failure, that's surprising to me because that's something that's so vulnerable. Like when you start,
I don't even think it was like maybe like a fear of failure, but just like a fear that I would be bad at something. Maybe that's the same thing. I feel like with stand up, it was something that I've wanted to do for so long and sat at the back of my head, and so many people told me should have done it throughout my life, and then I came out of like a breakup that was really bad that like made me start stand up and go back to school.
oh wow.
And then after that, it was just kind of like I don't know. I like loved it. I remember like my first set that I ever did. It wasn't even like I had a bad set. I know people like say they bomb the first time, but I actually like I remember having my tape recording and like doing relatively well, and I like went home and just like listened to that like 1,000 times, and like now I never listen to recordings, but I just remember being like, wow, like this I don't know, transfixed by this thing that I could do or whatever.
Well, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like everything led you here, so.
Yeah.
And it's not too late to be a Shakespearean actor.
You have no
you
idea.
could put on I
have an
Los
entire
Angeles
library
is
collection of-
starved for theater. You
God,
could put on a
no.
theater Shakespearean play right now, and you could.
No, it
better
still
than-
intimidates me so much, the Shakespearean acting, because I'm just like, oh, I'm not of the, whatever. I don't know.
I love Shakespeare, but I love I've never wanted to be a Shakespearean actor, but I do love taking quotes from Shakespeare and like applying it to like totally not unrelated, just like
Yeah.
very basic bitch sort of situations, and it's for me that's fun. Just like I was thinking of the King Lear quote when he's like, "Talk not of needs, like the
Yeah.
basest humans have their needs." I'm like, that's how I feel when I don't get a text back. I'm just like, I have needs. Like,
I just never. I don't know. One day maybe I'll try my hand at it.
no,
It still intimidates me. Yeah.
all I'm saying is no door is closed.
Yeah.
But I like that story. Thanks for sharing that confession.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you got something off your chest?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel like you can finally let go of that regret?
I don't know about that yet. I'm
Really?
gonna try. I
After
don't
all
know.
that?
It feels. I know it
You should
sounds
do
so
the monologue
dumb.
right now.
I don't even
Do you still
remember
know
it.
it?
No, I
Oh.
don't remember it. I feel like everything was erased in my memory after that stupid audition.
Did you hate Shakespeare after that, or were you like,
No, but I definitely built a distance. But I still have, I don't know, but I still do have like a love for it. But I just kind of like a love that's attached to like a feeling of an inadequacy
oh
within
no,
me.
oh god, we gotta go watch Shakespeare,
Yeah.
and then you'll get over it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you can like go of that because you're doing very well, and it sounds like talking just from my point of view, like hearing this, like it sounds like you've done a lot of things since that moment that I would consider successful
Thank
and
you.
related to performing, which was
Yeah.
the dream. So,
Yeah. Still on the same path, I guess.
as being a Canadian actor in a theater company,
I could have been
You
a
could still-
child actor.
you could. I guess you can't go back and be a child actor, but
No.
you also, if you were a child actor, you could have.
I've been a horrible
But yeah,
nightmare.
you could have just gone. I mean, a lot of child actors. I mean, you would have been overdosing on drugs. I don't know what they do.
Yeah,
Probably exposed
probably.
to a lot of. There's probably some fine ones too. All
Yeah.
I'm saying is, you could still be a child actor. You look kind of like a child.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, you could pull it off.
thank you.
It's a compliment.
Thank you.
I'm jealous of how young you look.
You look young too, though. Also,
I cannot go for a child role. There's no way.
you.
I've gone for
sunblock
moms.
and night and cold creams at night.
Sunblock?
I
at
wear
night?
I wear sunblock every single day, and I have like
Oh,
lotion
okay.
for my face before I go
Oh.
to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to put more face things on my face. I don't do that enough.
Yeah.
I did once get called in for an audition for like a screaming teenage girl, and I just asked my agent, I was like, "Are you sure? Because there's no way that I don't look that at all. I'm just very tall."
That's too. I'm also short and like dressed like a child.
It's good. It's a compliment.
Thank you.
I want to end with a game. This is a game that's called Employee Confessions. It's not really a good title. I could have been better about the title. But these are all employee confessions. Confessions I found on the internet from fast food employees. And I'm going to read the quote and then give you multiple choice, and you have to guess what store or fast food chain it was for.
I feel like I'm going to do well at this. Let's bring it on.
Okay, let's do it. Here's the first one. The beans start out looking like cat food, and the directions are add water and stir until you can't see white anymore. The steak was just the worst on dish duty. If it would sit too long, it would become like hair gel. It was the worst.
I already know what this is. Taco Bell.
Where did this employee work?
Taco Bell.
How do you know that's an option? A, El Pollo Loco. B, Taco Bell. C, the restaurant in the Haunted Mansion right at Disneyland.
It's Taco Bell because I've already heard this quote and I still eat there all the time.
Oh. Well, you may have heard all of these then. All right, here's number 2. So that's 1 point. The barbecue sandwich is actually made from chicken too old and stale to give. Do you know this?
No.
Too old and stale to give the homeless shelters. So they soak it in barbecue sauce until it can be pulled, and then they keep it on the heater for a month. Where did this employee work? A, KFC, B, Arby's, or C, the crafty table for the USA show suits?
I'm going to go KFC.
That's correct. Wow, you got 2 out of 2. Wow, you're killing this. Okay, here's the last one. I put way too much shake syrup in shakes, hoping people will think it's gross and not order it again because I hate making them. Is this A, Burger King, B, Wendy's, or C, Guy Fieri's 500-seat restaurant called Guy's American Grill and Bar in Times Square?
I'm going to go Guy Fieri.
No,
or A.
It's
A.
No,
I thought my gut said A.
No, you guessed. It's A. The answer is Burger King. You did not get that right, but you did get 2 out of 3.
My gut was going to say Burger King, but I was like, maybe it's the weird one this time.
So you got 2 out of 3. That's pretty good. You passed. I mean,
do I get a prize?
Your prize is that you can tell us where we can find you on social media.
Oh, at Christy Meds on Twitter, Christine Med on Instagram. I'm so sorry. And then check out my website, ChristineMedrano.com. You can find clips and shit on there.
And I'll include that all in the metadata once Sammy tells me how to do that.
Tight.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And you can follow me, Teresa, at Larissa